Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the new Takara Beast Saga figures. That's right, Beast Saga, which is the return of Beast Formers, also known as Battle Beast to us here in the US. That's right, it's been kind of a weird year because Battle Beast has seen this resurgence, but from two different companies. We've seen Diamond produce the new Battle Beast Mini-Mates, which actually have nothing to do with the vintage Battle Beast toy line. And then we got the announcement that Takara was releasing a line called Beast Saga, which actually does have something to do with the vintage Battle Beast line. See, Takara actually manufactured the original Beast Formers line in Japan back in the 80s, and Hasbro, of course, here in the US released the Battle Beast toy line. So they were the same toy lines, just released, of course, Takara and Hasbro in Japan and US. So now, Takara has released the new versions, which they're calling Beast Saga. Now, these are only available in Japan right now, so the only way to get a hold of them is if you import them. But I did just that because I was so excited about the return of Battle Beast that I had to check them out for myself. Now, the Beast Saga figures actually come in many different varieties. You can get them in blind box packs, you can get them on little single blister cards, and you can even get them in starter sets, which include 3 figures and all of the things needed to play the game. Because yes, that's right, there is apparently a game that you can play with these brand new Beast Saga figures. Now, if you're familiar with the old Battle Beast toy line, it kind of had a game element as well. The original figures had little rub signs that had fire, water, wood, so that you could play like a paper, rock, scissors type game with them, with wood beating water, water beating fire, and fire beating wood. So these new versions kind of take this to a new level. They don't have the rub signs anymore, and instead what they've done is they've replaced the rub sign with little dice. So when you take a look at the figures here, you'll notice that all of their bodies kind of have this squarish, really big bulkiness to it. And honestly, that's one of the things that at first I wasn't so sure of. It was a little bit of a turnoff. I did miss the rub signs and wasn't sure how I felt about the whole dice thing. But just to give you an idea of how this works, you can see on the character's chest there is a little dice that can be inserted. All of the figures come with a translucent colored dice that's got a logo on the front of it that matches the character that it goes to. And then they also include a secondary little blue die that's got numbers on it. Now, if you get the starter kit, you also get this black die with some of the figures that just has little symbols on it. Now, there is a sheet of instructions that also comes with that starter kit. Here's the only problem, though. These being imports from Japan, the instructions are completely in Japanese. So, I am not entirely sure how to play the actual game that comes with these figures. Now, there's probably going to eventually be a translation on the internet maybe for the US, or if there's not already a translation out there, but as of right now, looking at this, I really couldn't get the grasp of how to play this game. But nonetheless, it does come with a sheet of instructions for you. Each figure includes their very own card, which has got some beautiful artwork on it, depicting all of the action figures on the card itself, and then the back is completely in Japanese. Again, it's got a bunch of stats, I would assume, for playing the game with the actual figures. And then the very last thing that these starter kits come with is a playmat. So, it's just a large black and white playmat. And you'll notice that there is a spot on the playmat where you would set your cards. There is a spot where you would set your beast. And then you've got the area to battle and to roll the die. So it's kind of neat that it does come with all the elements to play this game. However, the game's not really going to do you a whole lot of good if you don't read Japanese or if you can't find a translation for the game. Now, to be perfectly honest, the game's not what interested me with these. I wanted to see the actual action figures because I was such a fan of the original Battle Beast line, and I was excited to see that these are very reminiscent of those. Of course, minus the rub signs. So let's take a look at the overall design of the action figures. We'll start with the different starter kits here. Now, I mentioned that in the vintage line, they had this water, wood, fire theme, and it kind of does seem like they're sticking to that same sort of theme in this new line, though I can't be completely sure because, again, that darn Japanese writing, I can't read everything. But you notice with the starter kits, we do have a starter kit that is obviously a water set. It comes in a really cool blue box, and this set includes 3 water-based figures. We have a shark character, a piranha character, and another ferocious looking fish character. Now the other starter set I picked up is obviously a fire theme set because it's red and it's got fire all over the box, and this particular set includes a very cool lion character, an elk or a deer type character, and probably my personal favorite of what I've got so far, a hamster character. Now, I did pick up 2 of the single-carded figures as well, so of the single cards, I've got another water character, which is the marlin fish. And then I assume I have what is going to be one of the grass or the wood characters, since his card is green. It's this very cool-looking bat character. So as you can see, the designs of the figures are very nicely done. They are really reminiscent of those figures from the 80s. Aside from their big blocky chests that hold the dice, the sculpts are really well done on them. They're very ferocious looking, they've got great looks to their faces. Even the little hamster guy's got a real cool cuteness going on with him there. The paint jobs on them are very top notch, lots of little details, great sculpting there. They are really terrific looking. The articulation on the guys is pretty basic. The arms are just to have the ability to move up and down, and the legs have the ability to also move up and down as well. We don't really get any head movement or anything else otherwise. So that's another thing that is just like that classic toy line. They're not overly articulated, but these tiny little minifigures like this, I guess they don't really need to be. Now each of the figures comes with their very own weapons. Some of them have swords and shields and clubs and all kinds of different things. The hamster guy even has a little gun, which is really cool. And the weapons are made of a very soft gummy plastic, it is worth noting. They're all like this, so they're very soft, very bendable. They may come out of the packaging warped, so that is something that you might want to look out for. But they do slide and hold into each of the hands nice and tight. They hold onto them nice and firm and look very cool with their different weapons there. Like you got some of the water guys have tridents and spears and shields, and it just really helps round out the entire look of the characters. So let's jump back to that whole dice thing. I talked about how each of the figures come with a little die. They have a little translucent colored die that's the color of whatever they represent. So for example, all the water guys have these translucent little blue dies. All of the fire guys have translucent red dies, and the bat guy here has a translucent green die. Now, aside from some weird little block designs on there, which I assume are used for the game, all of the dies also have a little insignia on it that match the character they go with. So for example, the marlin's got a little fish insignia, the bat's got a little bat insignia, the lion's got a lion head, etc., etc. So the little square on the chest, the die just pushes right into that, slides into place, and when you do that, you'll notice that it actually pushes this little lever out of the figure's back. Now I can see how this might be a turnoff for somebody who's just wanting to display the figures, because you're now going to have these levers pushed out on all of their backs when you put their little translucent die insignia into their chests. But this is how the game is supposed to work, because you shoot the die right out of the figure's chest. It kind of reminds me of those old marble shooters and some of the other things we've seen from some classic Japanese toy lines. So just to show you how this works, we'll take the little marlin here. We got the die pushing into his chest. You see the little lever in his back, so you would just use your thumb. And you pop the die out and it rolls and would give you your instructions for playing the game. So it works the same for all the different characters there. Just notice we'd pop all the little die out there. Ah! I guess maybe you can even use it as a little weapon, like a projectile. Boom! It just kind of bounces off the guy. But still pretty cool nonetheless. So that's how the little die feature works. And like I said, at first, I don't know, I was a little thrown off by it. Wasn't sure how I felt. I do really miss the rub signs, but I got over it pretty quick because I do like the overall design of these guys. I think they're very cool looking. They have great paint jobs, and I love the character selection. And there are already so many of these guys available that I can't wait to see all the different creatures that come out. So, just for the fun of it, since I keep talking about that vintage toy line, it's comparison time. Let's take a look at some of these new Beast Saga figures standing alongside the vintage Battle Beasts. Now you can see for the most part the scale is very similar. However, these new Beast Saga figures do stand slightly taller than the vintage Battle Beast. They're also a lot bulkier, but that's because they've got to hold those die in their chest. But you can see they do still look like good updates of the vintage figures because the sculpting on these new guys, along with the paint jobs on these new guys, are really well done. And you can see they do definitely capture that classic look of the original Battle Beasts. So there you go, guys. There's a look at the brand new Beast Saga line from Takara. I am pretty happy with these guys. I think they are very cool. These actually feel like Battle Beasts to me, and that's what I'm so excited about. And this Marlin guy does not want to stand on this table. Pop it back up there. Stay up. We're on camera. Show some respect. Okay. So I do love these guys. And the dice thing, like I said, threw me off a little bit at first. Not sure how I felt about it. I'm not going to play the game, especially since I can't read the instructions. Maybe someday I'll find a translation and I'll try it out just to see. But for the most part, I just want cool action figures to display on my shelf. And I do think these guys do a great job of looking like really cool figures. And they are definitely Battle Beasts. They've got that Battle Beast feel, and I love that. So if you were a fan of the old line, I would highly recommend at least picking up one or two of these guys and checking them out. You never know, you might fall in love. Now, as I mentioned, these can only be imported from Japan right now. So, if you want to get your hand on some of the brand new Beast Saga figures, then you need to head on over to www.bigbadtoystore.com, where they have a wide selection of all the Beast Saga stuff, including Series 2 already. You can get starter sets, blister card packs, even the blind box figures. So bigbadtoystore.com is your one-stop destination for all things Beast Saga. Until next time.